Hello, my name is Sean Murphy, and welcome to my dining room. I'm using this location and this time to actually defend AI music. But first, let me tell you about myself. I am a storyteller by occupation. I have written two traditionally published books, including this one you see the poster behind me, Chapel Street. It's a horror novel. I also have a traditionally published memoir called The Promise, or The Pros and Cons of Talking with God. I'm probably most well known as a screenwriter. I've written 14 produced motion pictures. That's a lot of movies. And I've written a ton of Emmy Award winning true crime films for the FBI that ran on the Pentagon Channel. And in addition to that, I'm also a film editor. I've worked on thousands and thousands of commercials and rock videos and industrials, and I've worked on hundreds of hours of reality programming on shows like My 600-Pound Life and Dr. Pimple Popper and the infamous 19 Kids and Counting. So I've done a lot of stuff. I am in the business, the entertainment business. But there's something that I had been doing for over 40 years that had never been publicized, really. I was also a songwriter. I started writing songs in the summer of 1983 after my first girlfriend, who I had been dating for 4 or 5 years through the end of high school and college, broke up with me. And I'd already previously learned how to play the piano. I had years of piano lesson, and I wish I still had this sight reading skills I had back then, but those have sort of faded over the years since the only problem with this house I'm living in is there's not enough room for a piano in it. But I did learn to play the guitar that summer of 1983, and by the time I knew three or four chords, I was already writing songs. And the songs that poured out of me when I was in this suicidal funk after this breakup, were, very sad, angry, mournful songs about the breakup. And writing those songs was psychological therapy for me. And of course, I had songs, so I needed a band. So I got some friends of mine together, and we formed a band called the Atomic Enema. Okay, it was 1983. That was a perfectly appropriate name in that punk era. And we should have been a punk band, but we considered ourselves a rock band. But we just played a lot of really fast, angry songs. There was no 4-minute song that we couldn't play in 2 minutes. Stripped down, no solos, just chords and anger. We were a lot of fun. So over the years, I had written hundreds of songs. And I would tend to write songs mostly when I was in a depressed or sad state of mind. So I have a lot of sad songs. But, meanwhile, other aspects of my career are taking off. But I had no illusions that I could ever be a rock star. In fact, I didn't want to be. These songs were so personal for the most part, I didn't even want to sing them. I was not the singer in the Atomic Enema. I was glad to have a friend of mine, Mike Manziot, and the other members of the band, where Mike was the singer, and Jim Jackson was the bass player, and Nick Manziot was the drummer. And he was the real talent of the band. He now plays trombone in a symphony. He's the only one who became a professional musician. But I liked having a singer. I liked the distance from the song, because they were, a lot of them were so personal to me. I really kind of like an introverted guy. Sorry about that. I was an introverted guy, and I wanted the distance. But I continued writing songs through the decades and never really did anything with them. And later, I played in a praise and worship band, which was a lot of fun. First, I started on the guitar, and then they needed a bass player, and someone had given me a bass years before, but I never really played it. And then I learned how to play the bass. It was a great deal of fun, and I didn't know most of the songs we were playing, so it was like every week I had to learn 5 new songs that I was unfamiliar with. In fact, the head of the band, who was the pastor's wife, was like, "Sean, don't you listen to contemporary Christian music?" And I was like, I don't listen to any contemporary music. Give me some songs from the 70s or at least the 80s, and so, I am a musician. I have played in front of audiences. I could play the piano, not as well as I used to. I could play the guitar. I could play the bass. I have drums in the basement. My wife plays the drums. I'll never learn the drums. I'm not a drummer. But so that's my background. And I was succeeding in every other form of writing I attempted. I even had like movie reviews in real publications, and interviews in magazines that I had written. So I was succeeding in every kind of writing except songwriting. And it's like it never really occurred to me because I didn't see a platform to do it without trying to be a rock star or something. But I wrote a lot of songs that were very important to me, and I really wanted to get them out. And the crisis came when they found my voice was getting more and more hoarse, and eventually they looked at my throat and they saw there was a growth on my vocal cords, which could have been cancerous. And I had to look at the real possibility that the doctors told me that, chances are it's nothing, but on the other hand, it could be cancer, and removing it could result in damaging your vocal cords. You could possibly lose the possibility of speech. And one of the things I thought was, well, as a writer, as a screenwriter, I could still type, but my songs would be lost because I had never written them down in notation. So suddenly I was sitting at this very computer using my iPhone, and I started recording the songs I had written one by one, so there would be a record of them, and I started putting them up on my YouTube channel, and certain people liked them. I wasn't getting like a massive amount of hits with them, but people enjoyed them, and they were most of the songs are about real people and real incidents, and so they got to see them too. Sometimes they liked them, sometimes less so, but so that's what was going on, and was paying more and more attention to music, and I was seeing about Udio. I saw a number of videos on YouTube by YouTubers I respect, and they were talking about Udio and how scary it was. How the quality of the music was good, and it was scary, and this was going to destroy music. So I decided to test it. I did a few songs, with the free thing where you get a couple credits, and I was really amazed by the quality of it. Now, the problem with Udio and most of these other services is, there are some that can do what I want, is that, they put their own melodies on them. But as a songwriter, I will say words were always more important to me. Most of my songs are like diary entries, so it's what I'm trying to convey in the words is more important. As a songwriter, since I started in 1983, it's 95% the words came first. There's only a few songs where I had this melody in my head and I had to search for the words for it. But, it was almost always word first. It shouldn't be surprising. I'm a screenwriter. I am an author. Words came first. So I did not mind losing my melodies, to pick up the instrumentation, because I was really impressed by the instrumentation. Now, I'd already been experimenting with AI, and in addition to many other things I do, I also used to teach at screenwriting at Towson University, and I gave like ChatGPT the assignments from my syllabus on the screenwriting class, and ChatGPT ended up with a B plus. Now, I didn't write the syllabus. The course was designed so that students would pass it. I will say that I always went into class saying this is the easiest class you'll ever get. So a B plus in that class is not like professional quality. I taught, I don't know how many semesters, but I probably only had like 4 students who I like, you could be a screenwriter today. You should go to Los Angeles and get in a room for a television show. But there were a few. But ChatGPT was, I could just tell it was never going to come there. It could put out a series of words together, but, it just missed the heart. It's something in screenwriting I call the sparkle. When you read something, there's just something magical about it. It's good, really good. And I've never seen it on anything that any of these programs have written. using words. But I was really impressed by the quality of the music coming out of Udio. And maybe it's because music is more mathematical than prose. Now, you know, I hear songs, that people do where they let the computer make up the lyrics and all, and those are at best passable, because you need the heart. If you want to reach people, you need human beings. You need human beings with heart, people who understand things, who experience things. It's not enough like what a computer does and reads stuff and makes connections, but there's a little difference when you've actually experienced something. So that's what I'm doing, and I can understand why people are threatened by AI. I can understand, the prejudice against it, because when I started in 1983 with my own band, we had drums, bass, and guitar, and I was such a purist, and I discounted anything, like with drum machines. Now, practically everything, you hear on the radio or streaming is drum machines, but to me, that was like blasphemy. So you can imagine how I hated so much of the music of the 80s. Now I can look back on that music and laugh, enjoy it. And I laugh about how prejudiced I was against it, and also anything with synthesizers. But of course, I love the Beatles, and they did use some synthesizers on, Abbey Road, and I loved that album, but they were more tasteful. So that's sort of where I am, in regards to, AI music. I used to be against synthetic music, or music I consider to be synthetic. But I'm really impressed with this AI music, and I've started to release it. And I'm going to do a couple comparisons here just to show you how I executed these songs. It's just me and the guitar and the melody I had. And then I'm going to play the Udio version of them, and the results were, I really like the Udio versions better. And and on Udio too, you can download the streams. And I was often thinking, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the streams and replace them with my vocals. But every time I sit behind the computer here and think about doing that, I'm like, the computer sings it better than I would, or at least in my opinion. So I'm going to do a few little tests of that now. First is this song. It's called Together Hand in Hand. It's from my album Breakup City, and these are all songs about that breakup that inspired me to play the guitar in the first place. These are most of the songs in here are my oldest songs, and they're kind of in there in chronological order in which I wrote them, so you can see me developing as a songwriter or not developing as a songwriter throughout that album. And Together Hand in Hand is kind of a recent composition, because when I started recording these songs for YouTube, playing them myself, I was like looking through my old notebooks, and I found a long fragment which was like the first two verses of this song, but didn't have the chorus yet. I think I needed a little more distance emotionally to do that, so that's what I did. And here's my version of it with me playing it on the guitar. As perfect in memory as you were in form, sweet dreams of you still keep me warm. My gossamer angel, so sweet and fair, the scent remains of your auburn hair. Soft as a breeze on a summer day, a gentle rain could melt you away. Closed in innocence, a smile that caressed, I stood in awe as you undressed. We learned to love together, together hand in hand, exploring all the mysteries of a woman and a man. Every breath we took brought us closer together, but we foolishly thought what we had would last forever. Your pale blue eyes were specked with gray, but they lit my path both night and day. Filled with longing and desire, I threw myself on your altar's fire. As the sun burns away the dew, you outgrew the boy you knew. With no last kiss you walked away, but in my heart you'll always stay. We learned to love together, together hand in hand, exploring all the mysteries of a woman and a man. Every breath we took brought us closer together, but we foolishly thought what we had would last forever. That was me playing together hand in hand. And, you know, I'm not putting like my worst performances up here and then saying, well, listen, how much better the computer is, because I like that performance. I would feel perfectly comfortable going to an open mic night and playing and sounding just like that. And I think I would do fine at an open mic night. But here's the Udio version of it with, you know, a fuller instrumental and a better vocalist. So listen to that.
As perfect in memory as you were in form, sweet dreams of you still keep me warm. My gossamer angel, so sweet and fair, the scent remains of your auburn hair. Soft as a breeze on a summer day, a gentle rain could melt you away. Clothed in innocence, your smile caressed. I stood in awe as you undressed. We learned to love together, together hand in hand, exploring all the mysteries of a woman and a man. Every breath we took brought us close together, but we foolishly thought what we had would last forever. Your pale blue eyes were specked with gray, and they lit my path both night and day. Filled with longing and desire, I threw myself on your altar's fire as the sun burns away the dew. You outgrew the boy you knew. With no last kiss, you walked away. But in my heart, you'll always stay. We learned to love together, together hand in hand, exploring all the mysteries of a woman and a man. Every breath we took brought us closer together, but we foolishly thought what we had would last forever. Thank you for all you shared. Thank you for all you shared.
And that's why I like Udio. I really like that version. That is how I would hear that song in my mind. The melody is different than what I had, but it's not any worse. I'm not so prideful that, well, I wrote it, so it's better. And, to be honest, I've written 14 movies, as I said earlier. I think this song captures the spirit of what I intended more than any of the movies I wrote. And those are all human. I write the words down in paper, and you give it to it, and the producer, and he brings the director and the actors, and it's all human interaction, but it's less my vision, but by the time it's done, than these quote unquote artificial AI things. I think this did a really good job of capturing what I intended in my heart when I wrote that song originally. So I'm going to put one more up here right now, and this is a song called My Sweet Love. This was another song that's like a diary entry about a girl I was dating 10 years later, come 1993, and I created an album. And this was always a dream of mine since I started playing guitar, was I want to do a concept album of a relationship that begins with all the optimism and beauty, and then eventually decays and falls apart. And that's what this album is. It's called The Elusive Farm Girl, and it's all authentic because these songs are all either songs or poems I wrote contemporaneous to the events. These are diary entries that I, essentially wrote in poetic form while the relationship was going on, and I sang these songs myself. They're on my YouTube channel, but I also fed them all through Udio and then released that as an album called The Elusive Farm Girl. The girl I was writing this about, is a farm girl in Baltimore County. Won't give any more information than that. So here I am singing My Sweet Love.
My sweet love, flower of spring, fed by the rains, warmed by the sun, time to shine, now shine. My sweet love, petals are rising, silky and soft, extend to the sky, now's your time, our time. Let me be your meadow, let your roots run deep. We will grow together with the promises we'll keep. My sweet love, a delicate treat, tender touch, fragile beauty, so fine, divine. Let me be will grow together with the promises we'll keep. My sweet love, eyes closed, burdens gone, trusting now. Be mine, be mine. Let me be your meadow. Let your roots run deep. We will grow together with the promises we'll keep.
I think My Sweet Love is a sweet little song, and I think I do a good job with it. But here's the same song filtered through Udio.
Sweet love, flower of spring, fed by the rains, warmed by the sun. Time to shine, now shine. My sweet love, petals are rising, silky and soft, extend to the sky. It's your time, our time. Let me be your meadow. Let your roots run deep. We will grow together with promises we'll keep. My sweet love, a delicate tree, tender to touch, fragile beauty, so fine, divine. Let me be your meadow. Let your roots run deep. We will grow together with promises we'll keep. My sweet love, cuddled close, burdens gone, trusting now. Be mine, be mine. Let me be your meadow. Let your roots run deep. We will grow together
Now, I'm sorry, the human in me should be saying I like my human version better, but I don't. I like the Udio version better. That's why I put out an album of Udio versions of these songs rather than me singing it. I don't think people would want to listen to me singing songs for 40 minutes. I just don't think they would. And I think the analytics back that up when I was releasing these songs and putting them on YouTube with me on the guitar. My, like 85% of the audience was male, 85% of it was, over 65, so it was a very limited thing. When I put up the Udio versions and look at the analytics, it's almost 50-50 male, female, and the average age of the people who watch them is mid-20s through mid-30s. And more people were listening to them too. There seems to have been a sudden change in the algorithm, or as I turn something off listening to internet gurus, because now I'm getting fewer views than ever. At least on YouTube, though. I'm still getting views elsewhere. Listens and all, but the analytics were better. The analytics were better for the Udio versions of the songs as well. And one final thing is, as a screenwriter, I was, people would always say I was really good at writing female characters, for a guy. I was oftentimes a woman is better at writing with female characters. But people would say, oh, Sean, you write women really well. And one thing that Udio has really allowed me to do is write from, a female perspective. I'm a male, but I've been doing a lot of things I call she said songs, which, I'm a rat pack. If you ever, a rat, what's that, pack rat, not a rat pack, I'm not Frank Sinatra. But, if you ever wrote me a letter or an email, a personal email, chances are I've kept it. And I write all these songs about various women in my life because, as I said, my songs are diary entries. But I've been writing songs based from their perspective, based on the emails that they sent me. It's usually and I use female voices for them, and it gives it an authenticity. And I could not have done that without the artificial intelligence. I just couldn't have done it. And based on like the Spotify listens, it's, the female songs, the ones I do with the female perspective, do much better than the male perspective ones. That would have been impossible without the artificial intelligence, unless I were to go and hire a studio full of musicians and singers. And I just want to give one example here, and this is a song called "The Bottom of the Sea," and one of my old friends was going through a troubled time in her marriage, and she shared a lot of details about where she was in her life and how she was feeling. And I turned it into a song, and I didn't just put it on, release it. I shared it with her before I, put it anywhere. But she absolutely loved it and felt I had captured, what she was feeling perfectly, and so did the computer and the voice. So here's "The Bottom of the Sea."
It's been hard ever since my early youth, forced to dance between the gray and the truth. I am done with sex, I've had more than enough. I gave them what they wanted, but it's been tough. Husband and I, where do I start? to give him what he wanted. God knows it's been tough. I'm afraid I'll die with no one ever knowing me. All the secrets of my heart at the bottom of the sea. I feel I'm fading away like a drifting cloud without ever truly speaking out loud. I don't want an affair, just a friendly ear, someone to talk to without expectation or fear, to meet online, that would be enough. But will someone accept me as I am? So far that's been tough. I'm afraid I'll die with no one ever knowing me. All the secrets of my heart at the bottom of the sea. I feel I'm fading away like a drifting cloud without ever truly speaking out loud. For once, if only once, I want to truly speak. Is that too much to ask? Is that too much to seek? I'm afraid I'll die with no one ever knowing me. All the secrets of my heart at the bottom of the sea. I feel I'm fading away like a drifting cloud without ever truly speaking out loud.
You know, I love that song. And I don't think I could have done better if I had hired a bunch of musicians, session musicians, a producer, and a studio, and, recorded the song that way. I think this is the perfect version of that song. It's the perfect actualization of it. So I'm very happy with it. And this is why, a friend of mine, actually the guy who inspired me to pick up the guitar, I saw him recently at a party, and he said, "Sean, you seem to be all in with AI." And this is why. This is why I'm all in with AI. I mean, I still have my guitars. They're sitting right over here next to me, and I still play them, and I still write songs. But I'm actualizing them through AI because I just simply like it better. And that's me. You may hate AI, and you may never want to listen to a song by AI, but I'll tell you one thing. It's legitimate music expression, at least for me. I mean, I am writing these songs. They are human because my words are human. My feelings are human, and it's actualizing those words in human. These, to me, are authentic human creativity, even if the tool is AI. So I look forward to your comments below. I guess I'm going to get massacred by everyone who hates AI, but to me, it's working. So see you later.